Henry Blodgett worked at Merrill Lynch. He publicly called internet stocks buys. Privately in internal emails, he called those same stocks a dog. The SEC called it fraud. The settlement: $1.435 billion. 10 firms, one simple rule broken. Analyst ratings must reflect independent analysis, not investment banking fees. That rule is standard IB. And the exam will test you on it. Here is how investment banking pressure corrupts research, step by step. The IB team wins a mandate to underwrite a tech company's IPO. The research analyst is covering that same company. The IB head calls and says, "Maintain a buy rating during the deal, or we lose the fees." The analyst faces a choice: issue the honest hold rating or protect the firm's revenue. Before 2003, at many firms the answer was, protect the revenue. That is the exact violation standard IB exists to prevent. Standard IB, independence and objectivity. Members must use reasonable care and judgment to achieve and maintain independence and objectivity. They must not offer, solicit, or accept any gift, benefit, compensation, or consideration that reasonably could be expected to compromise their independence or objectivity. The key phrase is, reasonably could be expected to compromise. You do not need proof of actual compromise. The appearance of compromise is enough to trigger the standard. And here is what makes this hard on the exam: disclosure does not substitute for independence. You can disclose the IB relationship and still violate IB if your rating does not reflect honest analysis. Firewalls are the structural mechanism firms use to protect research independence. Think of a firewall as a one-way information barrier between the research department and the investment banking department. But firewalls can fail, and the exam tests exactly how they fail. Here is the permitted side versus the violation side. The quiet period is one of the most tested concepts and the most confused. Here is exactly how it works after an IPO. A common exam trap: candidates confuse the analyst quiet period with the insider lockup period. These are completely different rules, targeting completely different people. The 180-day lockup restricts company insiders from selling their own shares. The analyst quiet period restricts research analysts from publishing coverage. Know the difference, the exam will try to blur it. Corporate issuer pressure: this is when the company itself threatens the analyst. Listen to how this plays out. Best efforts versus guarantees. This is a bright-line rule that most candidates do not know, and it appears on the exam. A firm may commit to providing research coverage as part of winning an IB mandate. If we win this underwriting deal, we will use best efforts to cover your company. That is permitted. What is prohibited is guaranteeing a favorable conclusion. If we win, we will issue a buy rating. That is a violation. The distinction, coverage commitment, is permitted. Conclusion guarantee is prohibited. Quiz time, read this carefully. One answer is the classic disclosure trap. An equity research analyst is assigned to cover a technology company that is also the firm's IB client in a pending acquisition. The IB department head asks the analyst to maintain a buy rating throughout the deal. The analyst's honest assessment is hold. Under standard IB, the analyst should most appropriately A. Maintain the buy as requested, firm interests take precedence. B. Maintain the buy, but disclose the IB relationship in the report. C. Issue the hold that reflects independent judgment. D. Decline to cover the company until the deal closes. Answer: C. Question 2. Sales force pressure, the softening language trap. A sales associate tells the equity research analyst, Our largest client is threatening to move his $50 million account because of your downgrade of Megacorp. Can you at least soften the language in your report or change it to a hold? The analyst's most appropriate response under Standard I, B, is a change to hold as a compromise. Client relationships are a legitimate consideration. B, soften the language without changing the rating, a reasonable accommodation. C, maintain the sell, making changes only if new analytical information warrants revision. D, escalate to senior management to decide. Answer, C. Question 3. The quiet period, do not confuse the lockup. A sell-side analyst at a regional broker-dealer covers an energy company that recently completed its IPO. The firm acted as underwriter. 45 days after the IPO closes, the analyst publishes research initiating coverage with a hold rating. Which statement best describes this? A violation. Analyst should not cover companies the firm underwrote. B, violation. Quiet period requires waiting 180 days. C, consistent with Standard I. B, published after the standard 25-40-day quiet period with independent analysis. D, violation. Must disclose the underwriting relationship before publishing. Answer, C. Question 4. Firewall breach, or Standard IIA. An IB research firewall is in place. An IB colleague calls the research analyst and asks for her proprietary revenue model to help price a bond offering. The analyst sends the model. This action most likely A, does not violate any standard. Information is shared within the same firm. B, violates Standard I. B, because sharing the model compromises the firewall designed to protect research independence. C, violates Standard Roman II. A, because the revenue model is material non-public information. D, does not violate IB, but may violate firm policy. Answer, B. Question 4. Firewall breach, or Standard IIA. An IB research firewall is in place. An IB colleague calls the research analyst and asks for her proprietary revenue model to help price a bond offering. The analyst sends the model. This action most likely A, does not violate any standard. Information is shared within the same firm. B, violates Standard I. B, because sharing the model compromises the firewall designed to protect research independence. C, violates Standard Roman II. A, because the revenue model is material non-public information. D, does not violate IB, but may violate firm policy. Answer, B. Question 5. Best efforts, the exception most candidates miss. A potential IB client asks for a guarantee of a favorable research report if they award the firm their bond underwriting mandate. The analyst responds that the firm will use best efforts to produce research coverage, but cannot guarantee conclusions. This response is most consistent with A, violation. Any link between research coverage and an IB mandate compromises independence. B, a violation. The analyst implied coverage would follow from the mandate. C, no violation. Best efforts coverage commitments are permitted while guaranteeing favorable conclusions is not. D, a violation of Standard V. A, for pre-committing to coverage without analysis. Answer, C. Question 6. The Grubman case, when one act violates two standards. Jack Grubman of Salomon Smith Barney maintained buy ratings on WorldCom and other telecom stocks, while the firm earned hundreds of millions in IB fees from those companies. He later admitted IB fees influenced his ratings. The most specific CFA standards he violated were a Standard Roman II, B, market manipulation. His inflated ratings manipulated prices. B, Standard IB only. IB considerations compromised his independence. C. Standard V, B only. Reports did not reflect his personal views. D. Both I, B and V, B. Same conduct violated two standards simultaneously. Answer, D. Question 6. The Grubman case, when one act violates two standards. Jack Grubman of Salomon Smith Barney maintained buy ratings on WorldCom and other telecom stocks, while the firm earned hundreds of millions in IB fees from those companies. He later admitted IB fees influenced his ratings. The most specific CFA standards he violated were: a standard Roman II, B market manipulation. His inflated ratings manipulated prices. B standard I, B only. IB considerations compromised his independence. C standard V, B only. Reports did not reflect his personal views. D both I, B and V, B. Same conduct violated two standards simultaneously. Answer, D. Screenshot this. Standard I, B, Analyst independence, everything you need for the exam on one card. Exam strategy for Standard I, B questions. CFA Level I dedicates roughly 15% of the ethics section to analyst independence. Here is how to maximize your score on these questions.